So you accept an order on one of the platforms, whether it's DoorDash, Uber Eats, and GrubHub. You're on the way to pick up that order, and for whatever reason, you realize that you are going to be extremely late to that pickup. What is it that you do in this situation so you can avoid having a contract violation and getting yourself in trouble on these platforms when you are going to be late and it's not a reason that you caused? I want to talk to you today about how you handle being extremely late on these platforms so that you don't get yourself a contract violation. My name is John McFall, and I want to welcome you to the McFallRI channel, where I teach you how to make $25 to $30 an hour doing food delivery, and I also teach you how to make online income. In today's video, I want to talk to you about when you accept an order and you're going to be extremely late. Kim's did a video a couple of days ago where she talked about she has done 5,000 deliveries, somewhere around 5,000, and she was on the way to pick up an order that she accepted. She ran into a problem because there were two trains that were on her path to get to the pickup, and by the time she got to the pickup and delivered the order, she was extremely late, and she got her first contract violation on any of the platforms since the start of her doing food delivery. So what is it that you can do when you run into this situation, and how can you avoid getting a contract violation for being extremely late? This is what I want to talk to you about today and give you some guidance on what you should do. I have had one contract violation in the 3,000 plus deliveries that I've done on these food delivery platforms. It was for the exact same reason that Kim had. I went to a restaurant and I arrived at the restaurant, I clicked on it was a DoorDash order, so I clicked on that the order was still being prepared when I arrived. I've explained this in a couple of other videos, but when I got there, it was the slow time of the day, and the restaurant was a little bit behind because they were actually busy even though it was the slow time of the day, so I decided to wait on that order. When I got to the drop-off and actually dropped the order off for the customer, I got a contract violation because I was 22 minutes late to the drop-off. So the first thing that I did when this happened in my situation is I called DoorDash support and I said, look, I got to the restaurant on time. I put the order was still being prepared when I got there. As soon as I got the order from the restaurant, I put that I picked up the order and I got from the restaurant to the customer in the quickest time that I could, and I don't understand why you gave me a contract violation. This happens sometimes on these platforms. And when I called DoorDash support, they said, I'm sorry, this happened. It was not your fault, and we will take the contract violation off of your record. And what ended up happening in my case is they actually did not take off the contract violation. So I had to do another 100 deliveries for that contract violation to fall off. Kim's going to find in her situation that she got a contract violation, and it's very likely that the platform is not going to take the contract violation off, so she is going to have to complete another 100 deliveries before she's going to have that contract violation fall off of her account. Now, when you get a contract violation, if you've been doing food delivery for a while like Kim and I, you're not going to really have a problem because of this contract violation. It is a ding on your record, but this is not going to cause you to lose your ability to work on the platform, and you just wait for it to fall off and it goes away and nothing is going to happen because of it. If you get multiple contract violations on these platforms, they will take you off of the platform because they do not feel like you're doing a good job for them, and because of this, they decide to take you off if you've got a lot of contract violations. So make sure you're always paying attention to the contract violations and don't get too many of them. In her video, Kim explained that she was on the way to go pick up an order, and to get from where she was to get to where she needed to be, there was train tracks that she had to go across, and there was a train going one way, and before that one finished, there was a train going this way, and she couldn't help being late to the pickup. After the trains went by, there was a lot of traffic, she said, so it just was a very slow journey to get from where she accepted the order to get to the restaurant to pick up that order. So what should you do if you run into this situation? The answer is quite simple. One thing I always talk to you guys about is your completion rating. If you want to make sure you don't run into problems on the platforms, one of the biggest things that you have to keep your eye on is your completion rating, because like if you go below 80%, you could run into a possibility of getting yourself kicked off of the platforms, and you want to make sure that you keep that completion rating above 80. When I see on DoorDash that I'm getting below about 85% completion rating, I will make sure I do what I have to get that completion rating back up. And you got to remember that the completion rating is based on your last 100 deliveries on whatever platform you're working on. My point is that you have got to accept and complete enough deliveries to get that completion rate up, and if you get a negative mark on your completion rating here, it takes 100 more deliveries completed before that completion that you gave back will fall off. So always keep that in mind, and if your completion rating is low, just bite the bullet and get that completion rating up higher. So I'm going to talk to you about why I bring up the completion rating in this next, because it's very, very important. When you accept an order on any of these platforms, every single one of them tells you this is what your anticipated pickup time is going to be to go to the restaurant and to confirm that you have arrived at the restaurant. Every single platform does this. DoorDash and GrubHub, you actually hit a button to tell the platform that you have arrived. Uber Eats is different in that they just take a look at where you are, and when you get close enough to that restaurant, they automatically assume that you are at the restaurant. You don't actually click a button to tell Uber Eats that you've arrived at the restaurant. And then when you get to the restaurant, you pick up the order, and then there is an anticipated time that you're going to drop it off. All three of the apps, when you get to the delivery, you actually have to push buttons in the app to let the app know that you've made that delivery. So my point is that if you are taking an order request and accepting it, and for whatever reason, like Kim and the train issue, if you are on a delivery and you can see the time on the app and you can see the time on your clock, and you realize that you're going to be more than about 5 minutes late to pick it up, my recommendation to Kim and to anybody else that runs into this situation is give that order back, because if you get to a point where you realize that you're going to be late and you become extremely late, that will cause a contract violation for that order, and you don't want that. The easy remedy for this is to keep an eye on the time on the app and the time on your clock, and if you are going to be too late to get that order picked up, when you realize that you've hit that 5-minute mark, go ahead and click give that order back, and for whatever reason you give, it doesn't matter, but just give that order back to the platform so that you don't get a contract violation. It's really simple to do, and yes, if it's a really good order, it's going to suck because you're not going to make that money. However, it's more important that you don't get a contract violation than it is to, get a good order even. So make sure that if you run into this situation that you simply give the order back before you get to that 10-minute mark and you're extremely late. Kim did say in her video that she kept in contact with the customer the whole time and let the customer know why it was being delayed, and this is awesome. I'm very impressed that you did that, Kim. Communicating with the customers is very key. The one thing I'm going to say though, as I've said in a lot of videos, is these platforms do not care. All they care about is the time. If you're doing deliveries on the food delivery apps, they want you to pick up and drop off those orders when they expect. Nothing else really matters to them. They don't care if the food is in a hot bag. Uber Eats doesn't even give you a hot bag. They don't care if you're tied up at a restaurant. They will make you stay at a restaurant or make you give that order back and give you a ding on your completion rating. I've talked about this a lot. The platforms care about nothing when it comes to you doing food delivery for them except for the time. This is the biggest thing that they look at and the only thing that they care about. So if you run into a situation where you know that you are going to be late, give that order back to the platform and move on so that you don't get a contract violation. I hope that you learned a lot in today's video. Completion rating, gotta keep an eye on it. The time, you've gotta keep an eye on it. So make sure that you're always doing these things to make sure that you don't get a contract violation so that you can do food delivery and you don't have to worry about getting that violation. I want to remind you, down here in my description, I have some great tools for you guys. The one I want to talk to you about is my metric spreadsheet. If you want to know how well you're doing out here doing food delivery overall, I've put together this free download for you so that you can keep track of your numbers. I'm going to throw it up here on the screen real quick so you guys can take a quick look at it. If you look at the left-hand side, you'll see I always put my start time and my end time. This gives me the total time that I've worked. I also put in the miles, and then if you look to the right, you'll see for each individual app, I put the dollars that I've made, the time that I worked, along with the number of deliveries. Head to the bottom and you'll see it calculates out what your average dollar per hour, dollar per mile, and your average per delivery. If you want to know how well you're doing out here doing food delivery so you can see where you need to improve, it starts by keeping track of your numbers. These numbers will help you improve the dollars that you're putting into your pocket. So head down in my description and go grab a copy of it for yourself if you haven't already. I'd also like to ask you to like this video and to subscribe to my channel. Finally, I want to leave you with, I hope that you are out there getting the money that you and your family deserve. And with that, I want to say thanks.